And everyone's gonna complain.
Josh, you have a cackle. Did you ever notice that?
I'm very shy about my cackle.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't point my cackle out to the world, please.
Yeah, it's a cackle. It's not like a lot. Like it's like or even like a It's like
I'm sorry.
I can't even do it. It's like a
No, that's a dolphin.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm just waiting for someone to honk.
I'm waiting for someone just to show up right in your window and just be like.
It's like a head up.
This is like genuinely not that far from the ground. I've had to climb in here before, which is always good. It's tall enough that Josh, you couldn't climb up here, but
wow.
Oh.
To be fair, Scott, you couldn't either.
No. I've actually climbed up windows well over my height. My height.
This is
well up.
This is difficult for me to get up to.
You run, you jump, you just barely hold on with your fingers 3 or 4 times. You eventually get the grip, and then you do the whole
There's nowhere to run up from.
Scott, it's Canada. You just get your pet moose. Oh. You walk it up to the window. You stand on it.
That would be easier, admittedly. If
there were over the window.
There are no moose in Victoria. So.
Oh, I've never seen a moose.
There are moose on island, but
no, I was just in Vermont not too long, or New Hampshire, and I thought I'd see one. I know they're huge.
Yeah.
Assuming you don't get too scared by the snow up here and run away too soon, eventually you'll have to come to Bridgeton with me out in Maine. Like, come hang out at the lake house. It's quiet. It's nice out there, and you can definitely see moose if you go for like a nice walk or whatever.
So, I think Will told me this. But the craziest thing about moose is their biggest predator is orca whales.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's like weird. That's the weirdest thing.
Like, wait a second. So an inland massive creature is biggest predator.
Yeah, it's
an oceanic whale.
Correct. Yes. But no, they're
dolphins. They're
dolphins. Yeah.
They're kind of
they're called killer whales.
They're a whole separate thing.
They're cousins to what we typically call dolphins. Yes, but they're under the dolphin whatever group.
Yeah, they're part of the family, but not part of the genus, not part of the.
Can I summon an awakened whale?
So they don't kill moose on land. Moose tend to swim in saltwater lakes, and that's why, because orcas will swim into saltwater lakes for feeding. They go into saltwater lakes, which there are a lot of very large saltwater lakes in Canada, if you're not familiar with that. And orcas will kill moose, and that is the most common place for moose to get.
That makes sense, because like wolves can't kill moose. Wolves have a small window when they're young, and then they have to wait until they're old, and then that's it. Otherwise, moose like, come at me, bro. Come on, bring the whole pack. Bring the whole pack. You know, it's
orcas, and then rocks are the next biggest killer of moose.
Rock like the fantasy bird.
Falling rocks, like rocks falling off the side of a mountain.
No, I like rocks better. I like the rock.
Yeah, well,
it's cooler.
They're not like Dwayne.
Again.
Yeah, he just goes out there, people's elbows them, and they're out. Yeah. They're just out.
Again, the fantasy bird. Sorry, just to clarify, we don't have the fire ones up here. They're an ice variant, so I think they're again same genus, different family.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay, yeah. We call those icebergs.
Yeah.
That's the ice variant of rock.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
I understood.
Chat, who should go first? Should it be the lovely Chrysalin, who's gonna probably be successful in what they do?
Chrysalin and Tristan.
Yeah, which that's going to be an interesting.
I want
thing
you guys to go first
like,
so I can finish eating my lima bean salad, please.
We're going first, Josh.
Okay, all right. There goes that vote. Sorry, chat. Didn't mean to get your hopes up.
What do you mean get their hopes up?
Did
get to see us.
Did you want Twitch integration?
You knew they were gonna pick. Come on, man.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So Oscar, it looks like that's the camp that we need to go see. Exactly.
Hold on, before we actually jump into it, which we very much have to, I just realized something, and I hope I'm not pointing out in a bad way, because I don't mean it in a bad way, but Doxy's noticeably less goth today. Is Gothtober over? No? Okay. Maybe it's just in places I can't see? Oh, okay, hair.
Oh,
correct.
The hair. You can't see.
I was like, this is different than usual. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, my world was shattered. I didn't understand when it started or when it ended. I think I'm getting a firm grasp now, like we do on the story. Gentlemen, that was a terrible segue. Go back, Josh.
Yeah.
So you think this is the right place?
That's the flag of Valrin, the people that rule Kurtzval, the ones we were supposed to see. I don't know.
Why are they out here?
I don't know. There's supposed to be a town out here. The spirit just told me.
Right.
There's supposed to be a city out here, a walled city.
Vigil?
Yes,
Vigil.
Vigil. Vigil, yes.
All right. Well, so this is a military camp, very clearly.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Suspect that our general is here then, unless he leads from afar.
I wouldn't imagine. Why would a general be I mean, I would imagine there's numerous camps, right?
One this size?
Okay, and they're not. It's not a large country.
Not a large country.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suspect they probably don't have a lot of military camps. We might be in luck.
Yes.
Which means Chrysalin isn't.
She can't be too far. We were right next to each other, weren't we?
Well, distance doesn't exactly translate like that. I mean, you were completely drunk the first time we went through there, but that was extraplanar travel. I'm sure you're aware of that at this point. But beyond that, every step that you take there is miles here.
Great.
So
maybe they have a way of communication. Maybe they have scouting parties or something that we could ask for some favor.
Worst case scenario, we go and we buy horses, or a horse at least, and travel to Kurzfall and try and make it there before Tristan has to return, because he did say that he had a very short time limit. I don't know what that time limit is, but usually short means a day.
Well, it looked like the movement coming in this direction was much harder. So maybe it has to do with the direction of the day. Maybe the time of day, direction. I mean, they do call it shadow magic. So maybe it literally is shadows. I don't know.
Well, it's either directly related to shadows or directly related to darkness. But
I don't think it's darkness. It has something to do with that candle. I just don't know how.
Right. But just thinking about the space that we traveled within and thinking about what a shadow is, just the absence of light.
Yeah.
Darkness.
How big is this camp as we're making our way to it?
Not small. Hundreds probably held here. Like if you didn't know better, it looks like a war camp.
Yeah, that's okay. Is it like, I'm assuming then it's guarded and like perimeter has been set up and it's all like prepped and defended. It's not just an open camp then?
Correct. Yep. There's scouts moving about and whatnot, but the two of you just simply walking up. Two people just walking towards. No scouts are going to even interact. Like you can see that they notice you. You obviously notice them noticing you, but they're not going to approach you. What are two people going to do?
Right. Yeah. Steal their general. Hey, so let's walk up to an entrance and see how this goes. I mean,
it's not really walled, actually, funny enough.
But it's got a perimeter, right? So like they've got checkpoints, right?
And you can actually see that they're actively starting to work, like almost like they're starting to build down or like kind of like hunker into this spot. So,
So something more permanent, maybe eventually.
eventually, maybe, but there's not even like I always forget the word for it, but like the tree trunk spiky walls that are made. There's a specific word for it. I always forget
Palisade?
it. Palisade, yes. There's not even palisades set up yet. It looks like they're literally starting to do that sort of a thing now.
Gotcha. So this is a relatively new camp then.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna still try and like go to where a checkpoint would be in terms of like an entry point, just in terms of like whatever they have set up now that would be like an appropriate place to enter, because we're trying to enter officially, like we're not trying to sneak in.
Of course, and it is one of those things where as you kind of come walking in, you can see that with the breaks and the tents and whatnot would suggest maybe this is the way that you're supposed to go. You can also literally see where there's so much wear and tear on the ground. These are walking paths as opposed to just open area, right? So you make your way over there. You're trying to really pay attention to what's going on like there and try to grab their attention, I should say, so it doesn't look like you're just kind of meandering in. As you guys walk your way into camp, and again, the first scouts and like the lines of defense that you'd imagine that would note your arrival, they don't say or do anything aside from clearly noting you. But once you actually get up towards where the camp kind of proper is, you'll see one of the guards call over towards you and say, whoa there. Two of you. Were you, what brings you through? You seeking refuge?
Before we get into it, my character, if I'm just trying to remember, my character is still wearing his fancy outfit because that's the only thing he has. And I think Oscar's wearing his mundane, right? You're not wearing your
I'm wearing
full
leather.
garb.
I'm wearing leather armor right now.
Okay.
And,
All right.
hey,
just so I can
leather
remember.
for whatever the like heavy. It's heavy leather in this system, like studded leather in other systems.
All right. Do you want to do all the speaking? These are your people.
Yeah, sure. Seeking audience.
From?
Whoever's in charge. We just arrived, and we're looking to speak with someone, just looking for information, but also heading on our way up to Cursefall. We were stopping by towards Vigil because we were told that we could pick up horses here, potentially. We're looking to travel, but we're seeking to reach out to the general.
Okay, there's a lot there for a moment. So the general specifically is who you're looking to speak to, General Jaeger.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, before we can get into that, I'm going to need to know who the hell you are.
My name's Oscar McLaughlin. I'm a member of the Amultese military.
Oh, were you sent here by Heathguard?
Not by Heathguard, no. By on behalf of the Crown.
Okay. That certainly bears its weight to people here. And so to you and yours, thank you for the aid that you gave us in our war that we fought recently.
Oscar will nod and say, well, wasn't me, but I'm glad my people could help.
They did. I know a few people that'd be dead right now if it wasn't for them. So again, thank you. As to what you said beforehand, procuring horses, I'm sure you can find horses for sale. Horses are one of those things that are rather plentiful here in Adir, if you're not familiar. So you could probably find some that somebody's willing to sell, or perhaps even the general will be willing to part with a couple. But to the most important matter, did you say you were traveling to Vigil?
Yes, only to get horses though. Not, we were going to Cursefall in particular.
You're not going to find horses in... What attracted you to go to Vigil? I feel like you're might be grossly misinformed of the situation to the south.
I'll raise my hand and go, I'm an arcane user. I spoke with a spirit and it told me about Vigil and being able to maybe provide aid for us. The information might be greatly outdated though.
It is definitely outdated. You see this camp that you're walking into, and how it's clearly just starting to sink its feet into the soil. Just south of where we are, honestly, if you just turn literally directly around and walked back about maybe 10 minutes time, you'd find our much more permanent camp that we have pretty much on the lake's edge. We are removing ourselves from there at request because of the dangers of Vigil. In the war, Vigil fought. First, they were. It was a strange scenario, but Vigil were allies, and after the war ended, things got strange here. The dead woke and fought. Vigil itself was tested pretty hard. Lost one of their walls, a good number of their people. But they survived the day because of some old magic they had where the dead rose and defended them. Literally specters rising up and defending them. There's rumors that it's their magics that are what caused the rest of the dead to waken. Well, let's pretend that that's the case. They certainly paid their dues for that. The city is vacant now. The dead have risen and won't rest again. It's filled with specters that occasionally make their way outside of the city and attack. The surviving Vigilites don't live in the city, as I said, or most of them aren't even in this camp. They live on a floating barge to the lake that I just mentioned. The lake out the backside of Vigil. It's a strange way to choose to live, but it's what they've known to be their defensive positioning, so...
Works well for food management and water management. I can understand it, but it's
Did you say the dead rose?
Yes, the Vigilites. The name seems rather redundant, so please try to bear with me, as I'm not there or super familiar with it myself. But the leader of Vigil was someone named the Vigil. It's not actually her name, but a position that she was given. She sacrificed herself to do some sort of ritual that made the dead specters rise and fight alongside the Vigilites. Hold back an army of mercenaries turned brigand. Anyways, when the dead all throughout Idiota rose, walking and floating, I guess, the floating ones chose to stay home.
I'm gonna look to Oscar and go, if this whole country has dead everywhere, do you think their general would leave?
Oscar just shakes his head. What's the current plan as far as the dead go? Is it leaving it still, or is it actually addressing the issue?
Well, if you're talking about the dead that are walking about, the those that are physical, like zombies, flesh hanging off of them. The zombies is one of the words that were used. We were able to throw all of the lands, destroy most of them. Hod Gwen took it the hardest, but she survived. Nonetheless, the problem is more or less resolved. There's strays here and there, so certainly be careful where you choose to camp, and tread lightly, tread softly. Don't travel too, just two of you alone, honestly, unless you're very capable warriors, which you may be. I'd suggest maybe grouping up with others, at least for travel. But visuals specifically, the ones that are specters, they stay there, and they have not... I don't think a single one has been destroyed.
And they stay there because it's a protection of the city. Or was intended to be.
I would not be able to speak much to this. I know a few details that have been told. I honestly, I'm not sure at this point what is information that's meant to be shared with outsiders and what isn't.
Fair
You'd
enough.
have to speak to the general for that.
It's completely reasonable. The only reason I probe is he is an arcane user. I am particularly a hunter of arcane beasts, and
He actually, you can see him let out a sigh and look to you and say, "Are you a member of the Arcane Congress?"
Oh God, no.
You like, oh, like their just sheer reaction. He looks at you, actually more surprised that he's not, that you said that, than like,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, you're not then."
That's not entirely true. I was, but I am no longer.
Gentlemen, if you could wait here.
Of course.
And he will go and you can see clearly gives a couple of soldiers the order to keep an eye on you. And he goes walking into camp.
I'll look to Oscar and I'll say, remember what Heathgar said? General Yeager is an honorable man. We need to be as honest and upfront as possible.
Sorry, when I said, "Oh
I
God,
know.
no," I was referring to me.
Oh,
Felt like you
I don't
had
think
every
he
reason
took
to
it that
answer for
way.
yourself. No, I agree. Yeah, I'm
Well,
just
no,
an idiot.
he asked so the Arcane Congress thing because he said he's an arcane user, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because you've already
Oh, yeah.
stated it, you have a faction, if you will. But
Yeah.
that's fine. So
Also, Oscar's an idiot, so you know, this was, you know.
but you're a lovable dope.
Hmm.
Why do I have 2 cameras on? Why is this camera
I don't
on?
know.
What I literally have 2 cameras on right now. I just realized I can go. Oh, that didn't work.
It did not work.
Okay, never mind.
did it break everything?
No.
No, because yours is always the same, right? On
Oh,
your
wait.
screen.
No, it did break it. God damn it. All right, give me 1 second. I'm so
Hold
dumb.
on, who's Scott now?
1 second.
I mean, Scott's still Scott, I think.
Scott's
We're
still
all in the
Scott.
right
It's just-
places.
It's just
just
halvesies now.
not being captured.
Yeah. I'm dumb. I just realized that I'm just dumb. Well, that's that one. Let me switch to this one if I can.
While we wait, can I do an
Deactivate.
arcane lore check?
And then hold on 1 second. Let me make sure I can get this back on. God damn it! It's still being used by something else.
I bet you it's roll 20.
No, it's
Roll
not.
20 tick back.
No. It's literally it's inside fucking
OBS.
yeah, OBS. One of these stupid things has it, and I don't know why. OBS had an update that caused like issues at one point in time. We've talked about this multiple times before. So usually I just turn my camera on beforehand, but of course I'm dumb and thought it'd be funny for a second. And there we go. Deactivate. Hold on. Yeah.
There you
Okay. I'm glad Doxy taught me how to do that at one point. Thank you, Doxy. Moving on. So
I also figured out the moving cameras. It's really, really simple. You just grab and then you hover it over the camera that you want it to be on.
oh, you don't go past it, you go on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to hover there for a second.
Yeah.
All right,
It's actually super simple
I'm gonna fuck with it for a second. Oh,
for future reference.
nope. I tried to put Doxy where Will was, and Doxy went where I was. I went where Doxy was.
All right, Scott. Roll for initiative.
Nope, I'm back.
Beautiful.
God damn it! Oh, why'd I listen?
You know, you could just go into like the transition mode, so you don't, or the scene mode, so you don't mess around with the active
I
screen.
love
No,
transition
this is more fun. No, that wouldn't work. It would still affect the active screen because it's still pulling from Zoom. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about moving the zoom. I'm stupid. I'm thinking OBS. All
Why is it
right.
moving
I'm
me?
sorry.
Okay,
I think you can pin yourself
I think
to
you
where
can
you go.
anchor. Yeah, you can pin.
Pin? Ah!
No,
No,
that
no,
that does
didn't
the
work.
wrong thing.
That's way too much
That
me.
does the wrong thing
Like
because what it
anchor
does
it.
is it
Yeah.
only if you pin it goes to
Now just click on grid view.
You cannot
in
move
the top
people
right
while
corner.
you are pinned. Oh God, unpin
Oh
me.
man.
Oh, okay, I think we're good now. I'm just done. It's okay.
So that's
Back
all
to
right.
the game.
Josiah and I have just planned a moose podcast while you were fucking about, so that's good.
I mean, you have to come up with a name. Can't just call it the Moose Podcast
It's Moosecast. That's easy.
because that's like the MP or TMP. You know what I mean? Like,
It's just Moosecast. It's easy.
Moosecast. Yeah, I mean,
Josiah and I are on the same
Moosecast-
page.
Moosecast works. Yeah.
he did. That's before I even said it. Beautiful.
No, he said nailed it. He heard you. Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. So either way, awesome. So he goes away. You guys are having a side conversation. Was there anything else being said?
I wanted to see if I could do a lore check to know about anything about specters or whatever, like being bound to a place. I don't know what my character would know on that.
What aside from Arcana, what would that be? What do we have for skills here? I don't have.
They
that,
literally have a
sheet
death
anymore.
arcana.
Okay, so then plain Arcana, you just have no focus unless you choose to talk to a ghost. I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
No, I'm not gonna do that right now.
Not right now. That seems like a danger move right now.
So 14.
I would say that you know that they exist, but you don't know specifically about different types, so on and so forth, all that well. Because this is, again, in this world, the exception of the Barren Lands, these things are very, like, exceedingly rare.
And my character's far removed his whole life from that area. Okay.
Correct. They're exceedingly rare aside from the southeast. So
I mean, but to be fair, my old master was a necromancy.
that doesn't. But you can train in that stuff, right?
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
They
Fine,
just like
whatever.
they just like killed part of you or something like that.
No, they wouldn't. I failed. I tried to kill my hands.
Wait, am I confusing your displayed intro with the one that we recorded and had to delete?
No, I went to both, didn't I?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. I thought I went to both. Maybe I didn't. I thought I did.
In case you guys at home didn't know this, when Josh and I recorded his like 4 fucking hour long
Well, the first one
session.
wasn't that long. It wasn't as long. The second one was long as shit.
Yeah, we had to record it a second time. It was, anyways, whatever. Moving on. So, it's depressing. So back to the game. You don't say anything else because you couldn't figure out any more information. Eventually, he comes back several minutes later, like 10, 12 minutes later. He comes back, and when he comes back, he actually has another soldier with him. But the soldier's walking with him. You can tell by the armor that they're wearing, the clothing that they're wearing, how the cottons and whatnot that are on them are a bit cleaner, so on and so forth. It's pretty obvious to somebody with a trained military eye that this is going to be a ranking officer rather than this like low-ranking person that happens to be outside here. The actual ranks of the military of Valoran have never been stated. They've never been designed by the PCs, so probably Joey will eventually just take over and do it for them because, you know,
they have a general,
So
which means
there's
that
chosen, then first picked, then second string, and then
then insulting, get out of my presence.
yeah. Then that kid that you net that always is picked last. That's the lowest rank.
I thought the lowest rank was aviary, but anyways.
No.
That's a bad joke.
I know.
Joey already has a list. Of course.
There you go.
Anyways, ranking officer.
So ranking officer ends up coming out and says, gentlemen, will you come with me?
Of course.
As he's walking with you, he says, from what I understand, the two of you would like to speak to General Yeager.
That's correct.
General Yeager has said he's willing to meet with the two of you. However, we are going to take a couple of safeguards as we don't know who you are or why it is that you're here.
Of course.
So before you go and meet with him, I'm going to bring you over to a different tent. You'll each have your equipment looked over and your weapons taken from you. Understand, of course, that before you leave, you'll be given back all of your equipment, assuming, of course, no wrongdoing is had between now and then.
Of course.
Perfect. Walks with me and says, continues to walk with you and says, so I can announce you appropriately your names.
I am, what's my rank again? I never remember my rank.
Venator.
It's Master.
Master Venator Oscar McLaughlin.
Laszlo Henegard. Servant to the Queen.
The Queen of
Amulta.
With me, gentlemen. It'll be this tent right here. He says, he gives like a nod to a soldier as he approaches. The soldier kind of like steps to the side, opens up the tent flap for you guys, and you can go inside. There's this this literally is a tent that has a lot of like extra supplies. You can see like weapons, so on and so forth. But there's a table that you can tell that they've literally just finished stripping bare, like they moved stuff off of it. And it says, this table won't be touched by anything but yourselves and the supplies that you put on them. If you could please go ahead and disarm yourself.
Oscar's like, shing, shing, shing. I pull out my wand and the Gish sword that was given a long time ago. Put it on there and go.
Chris Ellen would have to cut off her tongue and place it neatly on the table.
He's like, actually, I have to apologize. I need to change what I just said to you. I'm going to take this for later.
So Oscar takes off the spear first, puts it on the table and places it to the side very carefully and lovingly. Then the spear glaive hybrid directly beside it, then the shield on top of both of those, then the bastard sword over those, and then the throwing spears beside that. And do you want anything else? I have some daggers, probably those as well.
Yeah. He says, you're not the first person I've seen to choose to arm themselves this way. Why?
Do you remember my rank and name? Venator. It's a particular methodology within the Amultese military.
Bog yourself down with so much equipment, you're tired when you arrive at the field of battle?
No. We hunt mages and specialized individuals.
So he is your ward?
No. He's a servant to the queen. He and I work together to...
He's partially my ward.
Other way around would be.
Or... jailer? I'm not sure.
Ward
it's to make sure I don't...
Under. Yeah.
I'm not... With my history, I'm not exactly trusted by everybody.
But from what I've seen, he deserves to be.
The two of you, if you could come with me this way.
Certainly.
As he's walking from that, and he gestures to attend to, a short walk away. He's like, we're heading over there. And as you're walking by, and you can see that this military camp is set up, it actually strikes you as very well maintained, very well, considering it was just recently put up, very well maintained, very well designed where the tents are located, even the way that the soldiers are moving about the tent. This doesn't give you the impression of a small city-state and its ragtag army where soldiers are literally shitting in front of tent doors and whatnot because they don't care. There's it's well organized, well designed. It stands out as being almost Paradel with how well it's done. It's striking. Anyways, he asks you as you walk over and says, "What's the purpose for your visit today?"
Well, we're looking for aid and advice. We have a new front. One that your General Jaeger is very familiar with.
We'll see if he's able to provide aid. And he'll go over and once again nod at the soldier that's outside that tent flap door, and they will go and open it up for the soldier. And as they kind of open it up, you guys go walking inside, and you can see inside there is General Jaeger sitting behind a desk. It's not a small desk, but it's also not one set piece. It's you can clearly tell it's meant to be modular, taken apart and whatnot, to be brought over here, probably in a wagon or whatever. And he has this inside the tent. He actually has a whole bunch of candles lit up all around to make sure that there's a good amount of lighting. You can see his parchments and tomes and whatnot that are inside there, as well as a whole bunch of other things you'd expect for a general that's gathering together his supplies of quality cartography and whatnot for the area. By the table, by the desk that he has, which again is massive, there are several different chairs, kind of to the side, two in front of the desk. You can imagine the others could be pulled over or even pulled away and leaned over the desk if need be to look over proper maps. But as the two of you come walking in, he is not sitting behind it. He's behind it, but he happens to be leaning over it, looking down again at a map. The flap opens up, and the gentleman that has been walking with you and talking with you says, General Jaeger, this is Master Venator, Oscar McLaughlin, and Laszlo Hennigar, a servant to the Queen. Both hail from Amulta. And the general nods and says, I know. Said that prior to their arrival. 1 second. How is it? I don't know. You haven't tried it yet? No. Oh, is it hot? Probably not gonna be able to try it.
It would seem the general has refreshments. Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's so excited to drink it. It's his new coffee. It's his new coffee.
A little, but that's just because you have to learn the new balance. It's actually, there's instructions.
Yeah, I read it.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Funny enough, the instructions were for a different model than what we had.
The other one.
Yeah, I think so.
He's so into it. Look at him.
Just so intently into it.
I get hype as fuck when I get new grown-ups.
Oh, I love.
This. You should see me when a new vacuum crosses my threshold. I'm just like, okay.
I bought a bread maker, and I was like, "Ooh, all the recipes, all."
Totally.
Doxy, I have a really nice vacuum. I'll show you later.
I have a dope ass vacuum too. I love it.
That's-
I want a Kirby really bad, but it's such a big upfront cost that I can never justify just jumping and getting it.
That. Yeah, totally.
Sorry, I don't know if you guys could hear me or not.
Yeah, we totally
Yep.
could.
Yep.
You got to read the manual, but it's weird. The manual that you have is for a different model than the one that you actually
it's the
had. So
old
you had to
one.
check the.
Also, Britt hasn't tried it yet.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is all she made. So she
That's
made it all for me.
really cute mug.
It's a big cup.
Yeah, I'm very
I
happy.
want that mug. It's like, yeah, I bet it's like the size of my head.
Of course, you want this
Yeah.
mug, Doxy.
$15 a month, bucko.
It's gonna be just a bunch of mug shots, literally
.com.
pictures of mugs.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody just followed whose name is G's Brittany's, which I'm just like,
okay.
is that like a almost like a fake name? Is that like Joey coming up with another name just to be funny? In which case, you spelt it wrong, man. Hey. No, never
So
mind.
we
It's
call
spelled
her
correctly.
Brit
It's spelled
in this
correctly.
house?
It's spelled correctly. It is Brit. Yeah, it's spelled correctly. Never mind. I take it back. You spelled it right. Good job. A-N-Y. Almost fucked up my wife's name. That's
Scott,
bad.
you did done goof, man.
Yeah. Let's keep going. I'll cut it out in post. It's all
Oh
good.
yeah, totally.
Editor. Take care of that, please.
Yeah.
Thanks. Anyways, all right, back to the game. So he says, I know. You told me before you went to collect them. He does gesture to the side and says, and if you could stay and listen to the meeting, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Lieutenant. And the lieutenant will walk in and kind of step off to the side. And you can kind of tell almost immediately, what's your name? Your name is Oscar. You can tell almost immediately that the way that the general is kind of like the way he spoke to him, almost in a slight condescending way, but it was almost like it sounded like a lesson. And the fact that he just kind of you're like, this must be somebody he's grooming. You know, you kind of get that impression. So he says, I just want to make sure I actually get into Jaeger because I haven't been Jaeger in a long time. The two of you, please come in.
Oscar will nod and step forward.
Thank you for seeing us.
From what I understand, you are sent by allies that we have to the west. I almost messed up the map in my head again. For the allies that we have to the west, and for that, I'm grateful. The aid that was delivered during that war was when you return home, when you speak to what's his name? Sorry, Magister Heathgart. I would actually appreciate it if you can deliver a letter, a report. I'm sure he'd be interested to hear what happens to Vigil, as he played parts in the battles outside of it.
We would be happy to take it back. He may not return before we do, but if he does, then we'll be happy to deliver it to him then. If not, I will hold it until he does.
Magister Heathgart, he left here some months ago.
I'll look to Oscar and I'll say he's speaking of the son, not Savant Heathgard.
Oh, you're correct. My mistake. Sorry, that's just me out of game forgetting.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. But even in game, that's a honest mistake. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So-
And Oscar will kind of nod and just say, yes. I'm not sure if he'll be reassigned, though, prior to our arrival back. That's more what I meant in terms of returning. I meant to the capital. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit dazed, seems.
We've traveled very far, very quickly.
Yes.
The two of you seem to have an important conversation that you want to have with me. My time is valued, so I would rather us have a succinct conversation when you're prepared. Is now a good time, or would you like to find accommodations in the camp, perhaps a few hours rest before we meet?
No, I think now is appropriate. We are on a relatively short timeline as well. We have to travel up to Kurzfall to meet with some companions to travel back relatively quickly.
These companions you're looking to meet with, anybody that would stand out?
Yes. Yes. Crysellen would not be missed.
Well, that's true, and she's traveling with Tristan Corvain.
Corvain.
That's the
The
one.
brother of your chosen.
Interesting. Why is Tristan coming?
Escorting us.
When he says that, you can roll an empathy check. You can get the impression that he knows the name Tristan, but not necessarily who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was simply escorting us in terms of distance. He's familiar with the travel. He'll be escorting us back as well, just looking for safe passage through.
I understand. So, gentlemen, you've come looking for information or to deliver information. You come with message from the crown, from what I understand. Before we go on any further, I was informed that you are an arcane casting member of my apologies, but a particular race. That comes with a certain connotation and certainly ruffled the feathers of the guards that we have out front. For that, they gave me the warning that you are or were a member of the Arcane Congress. Is there merits to this statement?
I was once a peacekeeper.
A peacekeeper specifically?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm familiar with what that means.
I'm sorry that you had to have found out.
It was not to my detriment, but we have here had negative dealings with the Arcane Congress. I'm going to have to inquire about this a little bit further before we continue our conversation. Why did you leave the Congress?
I have also had very negative interactions with my own people. If it helps ease your mind, know that I gave 250 years of my life to them, and I threw it away because of the negative reactions and the negative actions I've seen.
That would never ease my mind. The idea that somebody's had to suffer for longer than I will ever begin to comprehend how to experience does not ease my mind. But I understand what you're trying to say. Was it a pinnacle moment, or was it just things that built up over time?
Oh, look, I'm not wearing goggles, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It's also, he's old, and it's candlelit in here.
Oscar will actually put his hand on Laszlo's shoulder as well, just kind of as a point of comfort, but also a point of opportunity here. And also, I'm just kind of talking until Josh reads.
I know, it's so funny. I was just like, just keep on going.
I'm just trying, man. I'm trying, but I'm running out of things to say.
I'm so disappointed. Can we print screen that? Print screen.
That would be a very good reaction.
I know.
Snipping
too.
I'll look at Oscar.
New. Yes.
All right. Well, that's going to be a reaction image in the chat from now on.
Okay.
So, hey, you have a new emote, Scott.
Yeah, I totally just need to strip that away a little bit. I got to turn that into a damn emote. We're going to throw that into, no, not Kingmaker. Thronekeeper spoilers.
Yeah.
Poor Josh. He'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll look at Oscar and I'll say,
is he still trying, or is the
He's still
audio just
trying,
starting to
man.
come- Okay,
There he goes.
The audio was catching up, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely what was happening.
I can peel away those other colors later on my laptop and turn that into a GIF. It really looks like Josh thinking. I wonder how many emotes he has on his channel. It's bad that I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure we can find out.
Yeah, he'll be back in a moment. Hi, everybody. So, while that's happening, Doxy Crysellen. Oh, nope.
Oh,
Nope.
so
Nope.
close.
Nope.
So close.
Nope.
Hi.
And he's back.
Welcome
From
back
outer
to this
space.
is another great,
Just
great.
walked in to find him here with that.
so
sad
Laszlo
eyes.
freezes in nervousness.
Yeah. So Oscar put his hand on your back. I don't know if you heard that part. Just kind of as like a comforting thing, but also just kind of like a honesty, right? Without words.
Yeah.
Kind of indicates towards that.
Laszlo nods and he'll say, General Yeager, do you know about the sill?
It's
Can you have it again?
1 second. Okay. No, you should be good. I was waiting for it to resync again. The sill. I have an understanding of the sill, yes. What about them?
Laszlo just like looks down, very uneasy and very nervous, and say, I was one of the active members that caused most of their destruction.
The sill were destroyed.
A large part of them. Not completely.
Go on.
I was tricked by the arcane to do a task, and I didn't know what the end result would be. And when I found out, I left. I ran. Amulta gave me safe passage, taught me the new magics, and I gave up that life.
Thank you for being honest. I will warn you, since you intend to head north from here to my home, that you might want to be careful walking through the streets if your face is something that would be known.
I'll take a step forward so I'm closer to the light so you can see my face. He goes, I'm pretty hard to hide.
Not the first set of unusual eyes I've seen. I imagine you have a means of disguising them? Goggles or the like?
I do, but I'm tired of running from my past.
What if your past is trying to catch up?
Then I shall pay the price. Many have.
You've been warned.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any massively devastating events that you need to take off of your chest before we continue, Oscar?
Well, the lake.
No. What was that?
Nothing. The lake. But that wasn't on purpose.
It's funny enough, that lake was home to a lot of moose, and he called that little thing Orca.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. No, not for me. I've been a Venator since I was young. I have simply fought many magical beasts and hunted a few mages here and there. And then, after assignment, I was tasked to look after this one.
It's well enough. Then you came here for a meeting, as I don't need you to lay out your entire resume. It's not a concern of mine. Simply a member of the Arcane Congress would be, because they tend to not treat us well.
They tend not to treat anyone well who doesn't conform to their ideals.
That's one of the reasons why we're here. The Arcane Congress is working with the Paradel military much more intimately against Amulta.
To be clear, yes, he means his last time doing a stream at this location where he's currently living, he'll be living at a different location with better internet. It doesn't mean...
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, Laszlo's just vanishing after this episode. Somehow,
Yes,
just disappearing.
I'm gonna join my ghost friends. This is where I live now.
Yeah.
Anyways, so say that again one more time, Josh. I'm sorry.
I will say, he said that's one of the reasons why we're here. The Arcane Congress is working more hand in hand now with the Paradel military against Amulta.
Very specifically, they're helping insurgency along the Yovance border.
And providing arcane might.
That's concerning. And how does that concern us?
Well, doesn't yet. But we're actually here, and I don't know if you were told this, we're here seeking aid and advice. You have a track record with Yovance. A very strong one.
I have a track record with the Paradel as well. Even stronger.
That you do. We are slowly losing. It'll take a long time, but we are losing. The Yovance people are throwing slaves at the Paradel army, These slaves are getting slaughtered. We are not comfortable with the treaty that has been set up with Yovance any longer, and our group is looking at options for what we might be able to do. That option that we are investigating currently is seeing if we can set up a new set of borders near and in between Yovance and Amulta, where we might set people free. Bring them in, give them a home, an opportunity to live and fight for themselves. But with that comes a cost. A military front that we simply don't have someone with the experience necessary to handle.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Please do.
I retired working with the Paradel military, having served term after term after term. Gaining rank as I went, doing the best I could to serve the people that I loved and cared for. The nation that I loved and cared for. Decades. Perhaps not 250 years worth, but decades nonetheless. I retired prior to the passing of the king of Amulta, and so certainly before the queen took her throne. I wandered for some time and came across a place that I had a belief, had a chance. Things may be strange here. Certain incidences transpired that I can't fully wrap my mind around or understands, but nonetheless, I chose to open up a new life here for myself in my retirement to help a new, theoretically good people get their feet underneath them. That being said, I chose to do it because I believed in what it was that they were doing. I'm not a mercenary for hire, somebody who has tossed coin with the hope of wielding a sword in their name. I am no mercenary.
We are quite aware of that. We were hoping you might find the cause worthy.
I think you may have misunderstood us. We heard from Savant Heathguard about you, about your honor, and about who you were. And you were the person that we thought would bring light to the darkest of nations we've ever seen. The Arcane Congress, the Paradel, I'm sure Vigil, and Amulta all have issues, but they all fail compared to what Yovance does to its people. We want to stop that. It hurts us knowing that we are allies with them, and we want to give them a better light, honor, give them a position that they could, where they could be real people. Yes. You were the one that Savant Heathguard mentioned when he talked about being the most respectable, the most honorable person he's ever come across. And we wanted to start here, even though we know that you have duties. We're not asking for you to give up Valrin. We're asking you to aid us for a period of time. Teach us. And I'll look... I didn't pick it up. Never mind. Teach them how to be themselves, how to live with honor and with respect. And then return. You would not be working for Amulta. We are not going to control them. They are going to be their own people.
You can see that I'm stationed here. Probably didn't expect it as you arrived, but nonetheless, you can see it. What of the duties that I have that are actively call my name? I turn that. I have to actively turn that on, and it's exclamation point DUTY, Foxy.
Gotcha.
There you go.
It's been a long while since we've counted those. We shouldn't really count those.
Oh, does it have a cooldown? Because you guys both said it.
It might have a. I think it's.
It's plus
duty
to
plus.
add to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it have a cooldown? What's the cooldown on it? It doesn't say there's a cooldown, so it might be whatever.
It's whatever the default is, probably.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, guys.
Well,
Hey, he was
right.
talking. He was
Yeah,
talking. One of my duties is calling to me. He said.
yeah, and Oscar is just gonna say, well, as you say, we weren't expecting you to be out and about quite so much.
I mean this in a Oh, wait, that's not what I tried to do. I tried to just copy and paste the docs I wrote. I mean this in the nicest way possible. What did you expect the general of a city-state to be doing, or of a nation, he would say, actually?
I'm sorry, I'm just so distracted by.
I know it won't work, and it's upsetting. Why won't it work?
Maybe it's space.
No,
I don't know.
is
Yeah.
it?
Whatever, man. That's not important.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We haven't done it in so long.
Yeah,
so
it's been a
upsetting.
hot minute.
I don't know.
Ah!
It is duty
Yeah.
space plus. There just is also a cooldown.
There must be a cooldown then.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, maybe because when I pressed start, it took a while to actually.
Also, there was another one in there.
All right, so continue. He said, "What do you expect me to do when?" Yeah, go ahead. And you said,
I haven't yet. I said I was distracted by this. No. Sorry. He said, "What in the nicest way possible? What did you expect the general of the nation to be doing?"
Yep.
Right. And Oscar would say, "We didn't know." But as Laszlo said, you were the person who was mentioned. There's no expectation we can have coming in that would prepare us for speaking with someone who has the weight of a nation on their shoulders. There is nothing. The only thing that we can do is what we have done, which is our research up until this point on what we are doing, so that we can come in with the best case possible, and so that you might see what we're trying to do and wish to aid it. And as far as your duties go, I don't know what we can do in terms of aiding in that, but Oscar's gonna look over to Laszlo.
Your guard spoke of specters, of incorporeal undead.
"That's not the immediate concern, but it is certainly a grand one."
I have a unique ability. I
Go
can
on.
speak. I can speak to the spirits that have moved on.
One of my chosen also had the ability to go down there and speak to them, and did so. Hold on one second. What's up, Brett?
Just for chat. Oscar's gonna turn to Laszlo and just say, "We could miss our window."
It's important to have him,
It is.
and even if we don't, he might know somebody that's qualified.
Oscar's gonna look over to the individual who's beside.
I was totally gonna do that, by the way. I was gonna
Yeah.
be like, and I was gonna gesture to that guy, teach.
Sorry, guys,
But
it's
I didn't
tomorrow's Rory's
notice.
birthday, and Brittany just needs help with something really quickly while she's trying to set things up.
Sure. That's
One
the batteries
second.
are for. Sure.
It's very rare that Brittany comes down and asks for things. So
Yeah, Oscar's gonna be mentioning.
you just say
it, so
yes.
That's
Absolutely.
Come on, number one.
Never mind.
oh, this is just something else.
Oh, here it goes again. My internet.
Yep.
Got it. Little
Oh, that's nice.
little lights.
Tell her not to dare be sorry.
He can't hear us right now.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Doxy just said tell her not to dare be sorry. So you should do that.
Brittany, Doxy said, "Don't do that again.
No.
I belong to her right now, and back off her man."
Yeah, that's what I said.
She just says, "I know that's you." That's yep. Yep. Oh, that's beautiful. So Scott, just to
I
catch
feel
you
like
up.
Brittany and me would be such good friends.
Oh, probably.
Which
I
is
mean-
why it's not allowed to happen. Okay, I don't need people ganging up on me.
To be fair, Brittany's like super awesome. Like,
She is super
period. So
Not shocked.
Yeah, no.
So
I mean, like I'm actually only friends with Scott to meet Brittany. And
Right.
like,
But you met her.
Yeah, I know, but like to be friends with her, I have to suffer through Scott. It's Laszlo all over again. 250 years of suffering.
yeah. So Scott,
Not that
Oscar, in that time that you were away, Oscar turned to Laszlo and just basically said, "We can miss our window if it means securing him." And then kind of has turned back and has just said, "Even if you are not necessarily available, Oscar will look to the individual that he's clearly grooming, and then back to General Yeager and say, you are a capable teacher. But beyond that, if there is something
roll
we
a
can aid with-
communications with that one, a persuasion with that one.
I just
Well,
have to.
technically, you can do leadership too.
Oh,
Stunt.
well, add 2 then to the leadership. So it's a 16 with 4 stunt points.
No, that's not how he does it.
There's leadership, right?
I do have leadership, so I have a +2 to that, unless you want me to roll.
Not how he does it.
Technically, this is a reroll. I feel bad. This one's my fault. I'm so sorry.
Is a 14 good enough, Scott, on its own?
Technically speaking, yeah. I'm so sorry. It's
Can
my,
I?
know
How
that-
about this? How about I try and roll a luck as a penance to make that higher, and then not worry about the leadership reroll?
I'm so sorry because I know
It's
you
not
roll
gonna-
so well. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
so
fine.
sorry.
I'll just roll a
I feel
7.
bad.
No, it's okay. I rolled the exact same thing.
Hell yeah, bud.
You know what?
Like,
And just because, please indulge me, because I'm never gonna get a roll this high. I'm gonna roll luck on this just to be
Go ahead,
super
please.
successful.
Actually,
this campaign's the only campaign where people actually ask each
you
other's
said-
permission. Good.
use the stunt. Use your stunt to get a focus.
Well, he can also
In
use
something.
luck. He can also use luck to make sure that the 16 is
I'm
more successful.
Yeah. I clicked.
No,
the
I know,
button.
but the
I don't
stunt
think
could
it's
be
going.
focuses for continuing.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to use the stunt points as well, but I'm going to roll luck first.
17.
There it goes.
You could flirt.
17, which
You can
moves it
flirt.
upward. You're right. I can flirt. I'm not going to, but I could flirt. Sorry, I have to find.
This is just so you know
the-
you beat formidable. So he
Yeah.
when you say this, he contemplates. Now when he contemplates, he thinks for a while. He's a man of
That's
deep
perfect
thought.
because that gives me time to look up what I can do with
And-
stunt
Right.
points.
So he contemplates for a few moments, and listen while you're looking up, of course. He contemplates for a few moments, and then he says, "Gentlemen," and gestures to the seats in front of you. And he will also pull out his chair as well, and he takes a seat. He looks to the lieutenant to the side and says, if you may indulge me, could you offer these gentlemen a beverage, please?" And he actually looks to you and says, he looks at the two of you and says, "Any preferences?" Kind of like throw, almost like weird that I was just asked that, but any preferences?
Right. Oscar. kind of-
Nervousness. Laszlo would say. Sorry. I used to say water. I've had a rough couple of days.
Honestly, whatever you have available is fine for me.
The general looks at him and says, "A good bottle of whiskey would do fine." He says, "Whiskey's going to be in the..." "Yes." And he nods and walks out of the tent. And then he looks at the two of you and says, "Oscar, what do you want to do with your 4 stud points before I continue?"
I'm trying to find the page.
I linked it. I linked the stunt thing, so it's by itself in the chat.
Oh, well, thank you.
But
You
you
should
can do
honestly
resources
just
at hand.
add a graphic of it to our journals.
Thank you, Josh. Role-playing stunts, 4 stunt points.
Resources
I mean,
at
there
hand
is
is a
flirt.
good one.
Honestly. Sorry, what was that?
Resources at hand if he lets the exploration.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just downloaded that by accident, but okay.
Yeah.
It's usually role play, so Force, Flirt, or Tower of Will. Those are good ones, but you also have Jest, Stun Silence, Sway the Crowd, and another thing. I mean, where's the one in that book that has like the linked up one, Josh's? Just to see how we can use these stunts
I can
more.
post them too.
Yeah, we want to see them more better.
The hybrid ones you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
All right. Give me a second.
Because I'm not sure that any
The
of
only
them
responsible, only the one that does his homework. It's fine.
No, it's just the other things went away. The other PDFs went away.
they are.
But you should pin them.
They
why
were
don't
pinned.
we just
We have to
why,
unpin the
like,
old ones and repin the new ones is what it is. Yes, Doxy?
Why don't we just
Because they'll be tiny.
screenshot it and then add resources? We can do it in quadrants.
I can do that. Grab them and put them inside.
Like,
the
it's been
actual
a
physical
problem enough times that I think it's
game. Yeah. If you remind me as soon as the game's over today, Doxy, I'll do it tonight before I go to bed.
sure
Absolutely. Because I stay up and I upload everything before I leave my computer now, just to not be terrible on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, everybody, thank you so much for your patience. I suck. And Brittany and I have this like understanding where once a week she'll kind of like be like more or less Friday, Saturday, be like, yo, shit done? No. Cool, let me help you out. And that way it's not so bad for you. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, show some love in chat for Brittany and comment section below for Brittany.
Everybody just show love for Brittany for putting up with Scott all this time.
My mom says it. It must be true. My family's like, thank you for taking him. Because for Christ's sakes, if he was
I'm
around
just
more...
kidding. You know I love you. I would hang out with you all the time if we lived
That's what they
nearby.
say too. Just kidding. We love you.
Okay, well, I mean it.
They
More than
do
your
too.
family does. Just kidding again. What an asshole I mean.
Oh, you have the hybrid stunts there. Are you
None of them really fit from what I'm looking at here. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, like the main thing that would be like the problem is like Tower of Will doesn't really like it works, but like we're not really in like an opposed conversation here. This is more of just like a, you know, hey, we're trying to move things forward. So it's tough there. And then part of me is like sway the crowd could be helpful because it could get the other guy also on side and more like eager to learn, for instance, say.
Sure. So after you guys leave, he can try to sway his own boss.
Yeah,
like
yo,
that's
but
kinda... Chief, listen, the guy had a great idea. We should do what that guy said.
Right, like even
Actually, what about sway the crowd and another thing? Like, because you kind of did that, right?
I did kind of do like, and another thing.
Where you were like, you know, if we can't have you, maybe you could recommend someone. And then looked at the guy and was like, because you're a great teacher. And that's kind of like an and another thing.
It is kind of
and then you pop in, but if I can't have you, I don't want nobody, baby.
Excuse me, we're trying not to derail.
That was me last week. Somebody else take over.
So basically, like,
you,
yeah, I think what we're gonna do is sway the crowd and another thing, but also that and another thing is gonna kind of be weaving in more the idea of
yeah, you weave a second thrust into the conversation.
Yeah, and this is more of a, and we are of course happy to help in any way we can, essentially, to make that happen. That's essentially the, you know, hey, and here's a little.
We're kind of willing to take your duties.
I'm not going to make you roll a second check for this. For my perspective of how this is going, you don't need to roll for this. So you say that, he gestures, grab a seat, sends the other guy out of the room, so on and so forth. He looks at the two of you and says, I'm going to level with you. I'm not willing to divulge too much information, but I will level.
Of course.
There's the matter to the south. It's being handled, but those that were supposed to handle it, for the most part, have preoccupied themselves with other tasks, leaving behind one individual person who is going to make the best judgment call based off of the authority that they were given at the time that the most recent interaction. I'm hoping things go well because it's going to be transpiring soon. If your magical understanding is able to assist him, that would alleviate some things from my plate. I have other duties as well. I've been working for some time to, as you said, educate those around me. I had a degree of success when I was in Paradel, training soldiers that became commanders that now lead battlefields and hopefully do so in an honorable way. I'm reopening a school here, where I'm going to be training more commanders. I'm just waiting for the official groundbreaking to start constructing the facility where I'm going to be doing this. But I've already selected a handful of individuals. None of them, and I mean none of them, are prepared for the task that you have suggested. And nobody I know is going to be capable of training them the way that I want them to be trained. Not because I am superior, just because I am that stubborn. There's a method that I use, and others will deviate from that, and even small ways will have crippling effects years down the line. Beyond that, there are state responsibilities that are even greater, that have fallen onto my lap, and he literally gestures onto a desk where you can see a piece of paper that looks fresh, like it's freshly been opened, just by the creasing and whatnot that's on there, that have fallen onto my lap that I'm going to have to handle moving forward. I am not going to be able to leave my station. I am not going to be able to assist you. That all being said, that doesn't mean I can't look to aid you in other ways. I have former students that might be interested in assisting you. I've received reports of situations that have happened nearby. Perhaps somebody needing a bit of a break from what it is that they focused on, and in return might need a bit of an aid in a task that they want to accomplish. I should not speak so openly of this, but I truly believe that nobody is looking over my shoulder, he says, and by that you know he means scrying, Josh. I truly believe.
Do you want me to check?
He actually he shakes his head and says, "No, I'm sure things are fine." The gentleman I'm referring to, and I know it tears away at him, is looking to have a borderline an act of treason. But he serves under another commander who is also working to a degree in unison with Amulta. So I know he'd be willing to work with Amulta even more. He served me well in the past, and he serves Paradel well now, even if they don't see it. I can direct him your way, and potentially he can lend a degree of aid for you. Moreover, have you heard from Arthur, or hold on, name is escaping me. Not
Oh,
no, not Elliot, not Kithel. Fucking
Lander?
paladin guy, sword.
Erwin.
Erwin. Have you heard from either Arthur or Erwin yet?
I don't know who these individuals are.
Oscar's gonna shake his head.
Hopefully they're going to be arriving in Amulta soon, if they haven't already and you just didn't cross paths with them. Arthur is actually the Grand Diplomat of Valoran, who was heading west, specifically to try to work on the alliance between the Crown and Valoran. So, from his arrival and whatever authority he was given, perhaps a stronger relationship can be made between us and you through that. I suggest that you meet up with him, that you work in unison with him.
That makes sense.
Erwin is a vigilite. He will be coming to you for his own reasons. He's honestly a good man. I will speak to his character. He's devout in his faith, and he's devout in his oath. I would even say, as far as to say humanity. He's a good man. Beyond that, I'm willing to offer a bit more aid. We fought against Amulta. And Amulta did what it could. We fought against Amulta and we fought against Yovance, and you both did what you could to try to hold back the tides of the Paradel forces, but we were better than you in many ways. No offense, but we outnumbered you, we outclassed you, we had better equipment, we Also had better alliances. Galdaria to your north is not only your ally. The gentleman that I said that I want to come and speak to you, as I also said, he has serves underneath someone else. A commander that has recently had a promotion, from what I understand. The person she replaced and served under had very strong ties with some important folk in Galdaria. He unfortunately has passed. She now has his position. I can give you names. You can attempt to speak with her. Potentially she can use these names and the relationships of her former commander to lend a degree of aid. I see this as being a bit of a difficult path to walk, though. She is very dedicated to the successes of Paradel. Blanket successes. I would use that as a last resort option. I'm giving you the names of those in Galdaria because carrying my name with it, while a few steps removed in relationship, very well may be able to render you aid. Most importantly, there is a gentleman that I know. He seems to be a good chap. Last he was seen, he was spending time with the free folk. Well, I'm sure I'll be having meetings with soon. With the free folk to the northeast of here. Last name Stalingrad. Are you familiar with the family?
The crossbows.
Yeah, we're familiar with the crossbows. So Oscar will actually just say, I'm familiar with some of their weaponry.
He's a member of that family. You might be able to gain sway from them as well. I'll actually draft a letter asking him to lend some degree of aid. Perhaps he can have that sent back to his family and we can see where it goes with that. I assume the Crown is opening its coffers for the relationships it's hoping to...
It certainly will be looking at that. We have to convince them of the value first. As mentioned, we're looking at options right now. Because right now there is a strong alliance that's held, and we are trying to break that. But
The moment we commit to a plan is the moment we pretty much declare war against Yovance. We need to be very careful when we do that.
I'll shed no tears over that. Yovance is an absolutely horrible nation. I've met only one man of honor my entire time battling against it, and it lasted for a considerable amount of time.
we've spent some time in Yovance trying to gather information. We never even made it down to the capital. We were too busy up in the north trying to...
The capital is smoke and mirrors. It's absolutely stunning. It is truly a magnificent sight. I've gone there before. Diplomatic mission long ago, before we truly got into the grit of the war. Anyways, it would lead you to believe that the place is better than it is. Even the way that their servants are dressed and maintained, it lends a degree of disguise to how they're treated in the backfields and the further reaches. One person's suffering to benefit even the other servants on the inner circle is not worth the benefits rendered.
Agreed.
We noticed that as well before we even went to the capital. Seems the amount of greed that country holds is unbearable.
It's not only that country, every country has its greed, but
True.
they could restructure, they could do so many things with the lands, with their history, with their people. They're just morons. They will fail. They will fall. And I'm, again, shedding no tears hearing that their closest and borderline only ally is looking to turn back on them. Just be wary of the ships to the south.
There is one other thing. Someone that would like to speak with you. It's a rare opportunity for both of you.
I thought there were only two of you arriving. Is
Oscar.
this Chris Ellen?
No, it's a device that'll allow you to communicate with somebody.
Oscar, out of his back shirt, he untucks his shirt and pulls out the piece of the mirror and hands it towards.
Remember, it is its own mirror, but made out of a piece of yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
just
framed
he
and
just
all
had
that,
it
yeah.
shoved. He just had it shoved up his back.
And then Laszlo
Stuff
say,
his butt. Sorry, I'm done. Sorry.
Laszlo will say, just focus on it for a moment, and you will see Savant Heathguard.
Savant Heathguard. He'll take the thing and he'll focus for a moment, and the thing will pull forward, and he'll actually look up at you and look down and say, "Hello." And
We only get like one side of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how it works. Like, it doesn't have a speaker, right? So it's like in our heads, I guess.
No, well, you do hear the voice actually traverse the plane of the glass outwards,
Oh.
right? But I mean, with you being on the other side of it, it is a bit more of a private conversation.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's
every
fine.
time Chris Ellen stayed out of view, she was still where she can see in. Just it couldn't necessarily see out. So
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Oscar like legitimately hands it to him like in with the intent of him having a private conversation. Like this isn't something that he needs to hear. And
would the two of you excuse yourselves from it then, or?
I like Oscar would actually stand up and
Yeah,
step towards the-
I would
tent.
excuse myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we
I-
still
I
stay in
think-
the tent, right? There's a big space here. Like there's like 15-20 feet.
Oh, this tent is massive. Yeah.
Yeah. So
We'll take a step away.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, at one, so you guys go to take a step away. The flap opens up, and the other guy comes in with a bottle of whiskey and a couple of glasses, and like looks confused.
He's just having a moment.
He looks across the room, sees him holding like a handheld mirror, looks back at you, makes his way over to you, and says, "That's strange. Vanity isn't exactly what the general
It's
is known
not.
for."
Laszlo will laugh.
Yeah.
It's a magical item. It allows him to speak to somebody.
He nods and says, "Shall I crack the bottle here then?"
I'm good. I'm gonna look at Oscar and just go, I'm good.
I'll certainly take some.
He as he puts down the glass, he says, and he's like cracks it open. He's pouring the first glass, and he says, "Surely it's rude to say no," and pours the second glass.
Just give him a finger and about maybe half a finger, just so that he's not. Half a finger of nice whiskey will do you good, Laszlo.
Yeah.
He pours the third glass, but like a little pour.
Just like a
My
little-
finger. My
Laszlo's
finger.
finger.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
He says, when you like say, "I meant my finger," or whatever it is you say, he's like, "Let's call it a thumb."
Very well. And
You think Ursula drinks this much? This has been a horrible week for me.
she certainly. I mean, she drinks more than I do.
Well, look, Chris Ellen drinks a lot, but she's also really good at looking like she's doing her share in the bottle while making sure the other person is
Yeah.
Yeah, she needs to have her wits about her to perform as
That- yeah, yeah,
But have
here's
their
the
wits
thing.
lowered enough that she can perform her. Yeah.
Do you think Oscar has noticed that?
Yeah,
You
probably
think-
not. Probably
Probably not.
She's pretty good. It's like
Oscar
a
just
bottle.
thinks he's a drunk.
But
a very
bottle
clever
has
drunk.
3.5 glasses of wine. Chris Ellen drinks one, while the other person has the other 2.5. She knows what she's doing.
For sure.
I
but,
mean,
like, Oscar hasn't picked
Laszlo
up
has
on
2.5 glasses while everyone else just has one. So, I mean,
to be fair, Oscar had 2, but you know, he's a big boy.
over a night.
Fine.
Well, you know what it is you've actually noticed what Chris Ellen does, and you're like, "I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you, Chris."
The sound effects, really.
Well,
That's
it's
the
so
worst part.
Unnecessary entirely.
That's the worst part.
Oh, here you go. Does this make you happy?
All for you.
It does, Laszlo. Now stop, please.
Who's the one that posted the image of the statue with the statue of the person like kissing the leg of the woman, and it was just like, "This is Laszlo or simp or whatever." Who posted that? So it was in one of the chats. I don't know. It was a few days ago.
That's
It was pretty fun.
hilarious.
Yeah. It was actually a really good statue. It was a statue of like well carved out of probably marble or whatever, of like an attractive looking woman sitting on a pedestal and a man literally like holding out her leg and kissing like the shit.
So
in her calf.
wait.
It was
Are
really
you
good.
like saying, like, you remember OG Star Wars cover art where he
Yeah.
like Luke has like the sword up, and then
Leia's
Leia's
lying
like at
across.
the leg,
Yeah.
right? You're pretty much saying Crescellin is the one like holding up her crossbow, and Laszlo's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except
is
you
what
guys
is
aren't
being
siblings, so get to it.
That you know of.
I mean, gnomes.
I
They
think
get
we
around.
know.
I don't think we know. I don't think we know.
No.
I just want to say, when it comes to gnomes, thank you, Josh. Thank you. I just wanted to say that you play a gnome okay.
Well, I'm trying not to be all campy because you're like, oh, they're all serious.
The way you play a gnome is fine, and
Okay.
I say, I got nothing.
Okay.
Great compliment.
This
Uh,
is-
Well, I'm referencing Lost Initiative, but that's okay.
yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. So he's off to the side. They're having the conversation. You guys
Yeah.
maintain one over here. Do you try to get any degree of information out of this guy, or you just like have a chat?
I do.
Oh,
I ask him about the situation. Just we don't need to RP it, but just like the situation to the south that he was speaking of, like how deadly is it, the what they might know, and that we'll be heading there after this. Maybe it is the morning. We just woke up.
We just woke up. We're going to be going there pretty much right away.
Yeah, after the general's done, we'll be heading there if there's any information that he's willing to share. Just that. We don't have to RP it or anything.
Oh, that's fine. So, I mean, he's one of those things where he doesn't really, he just chats with you a little bit, whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No crazy amount of information divulged,
Okay.
whatever it is. Yeah. So after like maybe 15 minutes or so, eventually the general kind of looks over there and says, gentlemen,
Walk back.
place, mind you, it was 15 minutes of conversation. So, yeah. So he places the mirror down and slides it back over and says,
Oscar will take that and immediately put it back into his shirt and down.
warm to the touch.
Yeah.
Places it back down. So you place it away. He says, that was an interesting experience.
It is unique.
You've spoken to Lander.
We have.
How's he fare?
Emotionally or physically?
In general?
Last we spoke to him, strained, but healthy.
General, I wish to be as honest with you as possible because I want Amulta to have the greatest chance of getting your aid. Lander, I believe, might be a fool as a military leader. The last we saw, or we assume we saw him, he would send his men almost to certain death.
Lander is no military leader. He's never been good as a military leader. Anybody using him as such doesn't know how to utilize their assets well.
Unless they're specifically using him to fail, but that's the strategic paranoia speaking.
I don't know exactly what entanglements he's gotten himself involved in. This Icarus that was spoken of. I mean, I've heard the name before, but I assume it's not the same person.
Would you
Why
indulge
use-
us?
There was an Icarus that was once a Yovance slave that went through Inclame and served in the Paradil military, worked himself up the ranks as an enlistman, never actually became an officer, but borderline became one. He was actually a pretty damn good soldier, damn good leader, without actually being a commissioned officer. He was still serving the military as far as I know when we left. He served under me for some time. Icarus was his name. I don't know if he had a last name, though the name Fetterburst does, fetter burst, right? A fetter is to be bound, right?
And first as to be free of those bounds in this case, presumably. It very well could be the same individual.
They're very aggressive.
Well, this is somebody that would be have quite the grudge with Yovance, and has parallel military training. Yet not a commissioned officer, so different caliber of training, but still know how to lead a battlefield. Can handle mid-fights, just not necessarily strategic planning before and afterwards.
That does line up with what we've heard to some extent.
So I must come clean. There was an ulterior motive for me to show you the mirror.
Layer after layer. You say you want to be as honest as possible, but you put things out in
I wanted you to have the information before I asked you the question. It was nothing devious. You saw what it's capable of. If we can't have you physically...
I don't want no motivator. Sorry, Doxy did it to me.
It is my fault. I am a very bad girl.
Sorry,
would you be
get spanked later.
willing... Shut up.
$15 a month.
Tristan's got
It's a simple ask. $15 a month.
$15 a month. That's all you need.
I don't know why this is so hard.
That's all you need, seriously. Do you want open finger handprints or closed? Like, what do you... No. You know what? Too much detail. Leave it alone.
Gotta cook that chicken.
I prefer a split, personally.
What? Oh my god. Imagine if that was actually somebody's kink. Oh god, since we said it, you know it's real.
Oh, it's 100% real.
Absolutely.
It was real before you said it. It's just now in the
Live
ether.
long and prosper. Live long and prosper. We mean consensually, out of enjoyment, and so on and so forth. To be clear,
course.
let's not like genuinely mean that. But anyways, continue.
The first rule of BDS.
All right.
Yeah,
so Laszlo goes. Creating such a magical device is within the realm of Amultese magic. If we can't have you, would you be willing to train soldiers using such a technique?
Soldiers were already sent here from Malta once before to have their teeth cut. That's how it was phrased by Magister Heathguard. Sending others here to serve in my school, I would be willing to do, barring consent of the chosen. I will get back to you on that consent as soon as possible, but under a condition. We've already fought a war. We've already fought off an undead plague. We're trying to rebuild a rather large allied city-state that is outside of our sphere of influence, that is outside of our actual nation, dumping incredible assets into it to do so, while also trying to rebuild another allied city-state that is currently vacant and filled with an undead plague. We are taxed and stretched thin. We certainly have the assets to defend ourselves as need be, but not necessarily the assets to accomplish everything and do so rapidly. I mentioned before the Crown's willingness to open its coffers. Provide for me the funds to have this school appropriately constructed. And I will provide for you the training. I will make sure that 50% of my first class is filled with Amultese students. After that, we can discuss what percentage I would be willing to dedicate to Valoran versus them. But for the first class that goes through, 50% of them will be Amultese soldiers.
Not a Maltese chosen. Our goal is to train the Yovance people to lead themselves.
Amulta has its own schools in the works. But how much would it cost to have your school appropriately built?
Hold on 1 second.
Gives us a number. We'll find out later.
No. This is important because this actually would have a reaction from you guys. I can get you that answer in 2 seconds.
It's gonna be like 25 BP.
Yeah, almost done. It says, is it just called Academy? I think it's just called Academy. Academy.
It's not the university, is it?
No. It's military something. Hold on. Military Academy. Here we go. Military Academy, and then I need to pop out a calculator real quick. CALC
times 5,000. Oh God, it's so much money. Oh God.
He says, he thinks for a moment, and he says, it'd be hard to pull out the exact numbers, but 100,000 gold, perhaps a quarter more than that.
We can certainly bring the money, bring that number back.
32 BP, not 24, 32 BP. Although, oh wait, hold on. Is there a discount? Oh shit, I forgot to check. Oh my god. Pathfinder Kingdom building. I'm so sorry. Because this is very important because you have to bring these numbers back to your...
Yeah.
This is actually legitimately important because these are not small numbers.
No. These are like, we need to report back and say like, this is something that could benefit
Military
us, but
kit.
it's going to cost.
I mean, knowing us, we'll buy 3 or 4 of them and only use one.
It's 36 BP is what it costs. But if you have a university, so specifically a university reduces the cost of a military academy,
Which they don't have.
They I think they're looking to. Were they building a university in the Western Keep, in the mountains, or no? I thought that's what they decided to build.
They
I wish Jake
talked
was here.
about. I don't know if they actually agreed on it.
Because they're doing one of 3 things. It was either going to be a cathedral, it was going to be if the Chosen make the university as half. The Western Keep, university is Western Keep is the plan. Yep, okay, I thought so. So once the Western Keep is done, which it should be by now in theory, right? Then a military academy would be half the price. So what did I just say? 128, so 50. So he would just simply say
75.
Yeah. So he would just simply say it's hard to give you an exact number, but I would say about 100,000 golden coin. 100,000 gold pieces.
Oh, I'm gonna totally empathy. How do I appraise? I want to do appraise. I want to roll.
You honestly wouldn't know.
I'm just kidding.
Oscar's just going to kind of think for a moment and then just say, we can
Thank
certainly
you, chat. You guys are amazing.
we can certainly bring those numbers back and raise the conversation. Laszlo, I believe you also had another kind of inclination with that.
Yes, I was speaking more on the lines of you lending us your knowledge. It might be possible for us to make a magical device, like the one you just spoke into, with you as the focus.
No.
Fair enough.
Understood.
Worth an ask. At any rate, we can bring that number back to Amulta and see what we can do. But Laszlo was right. Amulte's chosen, not Amultese necessarily. Some may be, but we're trying to give these people...
For this new city-state you're looking to, this new state, I should say, in-game. For this new state that you're looking to help bring to fruition. Very well, we have a course of action, and we have an understanding. I'm not going to go... He actually trails off.
I'm sorry, I've just put 2 and 2 together. Your nation is rather new as well. You may have knowledge of how to start a nation like what we were speaking of. Much more than Amulta. Amulta's been around for over a century now.
Be a little bit more accepting of other people's faiths. That's the first lesson I would offer.
It's never been a question in Amulta as far as I know.
As it shouldn't be.
Is that something... I shouldn't pry. Any other words of wisdom to provide?
I'm sure there are several that could be given, but me saying a few idle bits of information to you now is going to lose its value and certainly be forgotten between now and your travel and your conversation and so on until you finally handpick your people and start the actual formation. So why don't we leave it at, I will train the appropriate people, or at least send one that has already been fully trained, to lend a degree of aid. And then you can have the wisdom of whoever that is, as opposed to the ghost of wisdom of someone you spoke to some time ago.
Fair enough.
I'll stand. I'll say I won't take up any more of your time.
You're going to have to sit back down and listen to the summary of what we went over to make sure that we have a full understanding of what our tasks are.
Well, we're gonna go to the south. I'm gonna take care of some ghost shit right now. So how about you just drink your coffee, man. Let me take care of what I gotta do.
It's empty.
Oh, the tragedy.
I'm gonna die. This is not gonna be good.
So, your contact to the south. Who will be speaking to head up this ghost shit?
There's only one man down there. His name is Mog. He is going to be a bit different than perhaps either of you have experience dealing with. He's a former chieftain from the Barrenlands who has, for his own reasons, head to the west. He has his own reasons for being here, as I just said. But he is a trustworthy person. I'll draft a letter. You'll hand it to him. He'll perhaps choose to read it, and then you can work with him to succeed in his task.
Are the rumors true?
Which?
The eating of flesh from the Barrenlands?
As far as I understand, yes.
I'll look to Oscar and say, that's something we need to be wary of.
No, you don't. He will not attack an ally.
I meant we have an issue with holding our tongue sometimes. We shouldn't attack his culture.
Honesty is something of a policy for us.
Well, that's between you and Mog. I find it to be absolutely disgusting, and I've heard reasoning for it, but perhaps agriculture would be an answer to their... Either way, I'm no Secretary of the Interior, so... In the meanwhile, you'll head south, you'll speak to Mog. After you're done with that, if you can get things done quick enough, you're going to head north, of course. You're going to whip through Kurzfall, as you stated, but even further north and to the east of there, at the top of the river that lies to the east of Kurzfall, you'll find another keep that does not currently belong to Valoran, but inevitably it will. Inside it, there are many Paradel soldiers that are going to be packing up and leaving soon. I just very recently spoke to a commander of Paradel, who is going to be sending those soldiers out of there. He is the man that I referenced. He goes by the name of Cadus Medahina. If you speak to him, he'd probably be willing to assist you in your task to the west. He also can potentially, if you need to, introduce you to Commander Barbara Barnes. I suggest you do not try to work with her, but again, she has worked with Amulta in the past. She may be amicable. Make decisions as you see fit. Beyond that, I will draft together the letters to give to him and a letter to send out even further to the, I said west, I think northeast, east of, I said east, good. So even further east and even further north of that keep is going to be where the Free Folk are residing. That's where you're going to find the man with the name Stalingrad. Send it out that way, and hopefully you'll be able to have him contact his family and lend aid. I will also draft up the names of the others that I think you can try to reach out towards and see if Galdaria will be willing to lend aid your way. All the while, let's put the number so we have a solid one that we're working with and sending to your crown. 100,000 coin, no less. I need it to be a solid number. That way I know that I can properly build a facility that's going to be large enough to handle all the people that will be sent over. And when I say half of my first class, I don't mean 3 people.
How many are you planning on having in your first class?
So he's more or less saying, it's not going to be a small number. You're like, yeah, but how many?
But how many? If we're talking
75.
About let's talk solid numbers.
He nods, understanding your request for that. He says, truth be told, 30. 30 in total. 15 going
15
back to
from-
your people.
Oh, I thought it was like a herding class in like college where they stick like 300 people into one room and half of them fail.
Oh,
Just
no.
so.
Yeah, no.
He selects people that will not fail.
But he's not selecting these people.
Oscar will.
So
Oscar
you
will-
better select well. You honestly,
Oscar-
you should select 300 people and send them to him, and he's like, nope, nope, nope,
Yeah,
nope.
this is kind of like so. Oscar's actually gonna like he knows the reputation of this guy, right? Generally speaking, so he's gonna just kind of scratch his chin and say, "Do you have a criteria that we should be looking at for 15 of these individuals, so that when we look to send people, we're meeting your strict standards?"
Consult the savant.
Oscar just simply nods at that. Fair enough.
I'm going to assume that Lander does not fall within your criteria.
Lander, what of him?
Well, if he could be trained,
No.
his
Oscar
heart's in the right place.
genuinely chuckles at that.
Lander is brilliant for many reasons, but he is no commander by any stretch of the imagination.
There's a difference between a military mind and a strategic one of other kinds.
Excellent. All right, let's go see. Oh, will we be able to purchase a horse from you?
That's actually a good point. We're going to need to travel quickly if possible.
You can have 2 horses to rent. It's not like we haven't lost many in the past. Consider it a token of Valoran to you as a gift for future alliances as we continue to move forward.
Thank you.
And then just trying to stupid roll 20 being weird. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to actually look at Lander's stats real quick. I have to see if there's anything else I could say about him. Former. Where are you, Lander? Oh, here we go. Lander develop. 1 second. Sorry, I'm just trying to. It's roll 20 is very slow. Here we go. Aristocrat, level 3. Where's his high? Oh, his high stats. His highest stat is actually wisdom, followed by charisma. And I'm just looking up what that means mechanically for a second. Because I honestly, it's been so long since he was a part of the Kingmaker game. It's hard for me to remember the finer details, as you can imagine.
Batshit crazy?
No, Lander was actually a good guy. The problem is that those are not good people. So, you know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean. They're like arms above all the evil.
Yeah, our whole arms. Okay, so I think he was meant to be a good consular, right?
Yeah, he was supposed to be for the people.
Yeah, wisdom. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He was meant to be a good consular. That's literally what he was kind of designed for. All right, cool. So when you say Lander, he just says no, absolutely not. Sorry. He goes, if you want Lander to be in a position where he's going to be effective in the future, what you do is you have him stand between the people and the leadership as a member of the leadership himself. He listens to people. He knows what people want and need. He was a lord of Yovance that's treated his people fairly. He had no slaves. He did have servants, but he had no slaves. He always treated his people well. He fought and he lost much during the war, including his estates, including his whole family. He sacrificed his family to stand up for what he believes in. Understand this. He may have lost his son in combat, died to the ineptitude of his leadership, but his wife and daughter stood by him through that. It was when he continued to try to rail against Yovance, to try to change Yovance from the inside, that they turned against him. And he walked away from that. He walked away from his estate, his monies, his lands, and everything, and into Valoran. Here, he tried to have an impact, but things didn't work out so well.
Out of curiosity, is that something I can empathy check?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Just kind of trying to get a read on generally, but is that?
I think he said that they weren't trustworthy or something when we were there. But that was it. It wasn't.
You did say something along those lines?
Yeah. Oh, he I thought he asked if we dealt with anything. Never mind.
It was like I know what Landor told us generally, which was just they're shitbirds basically. But you know, more trying to get a read of like what, just whether like Jaeger is sympathetic to that. Basically, is what I was trying to read. But I'm assuming a 10 is too low for that. So.
Well, at this point, I think we have an understanding of what it is that you need to do, and if you want this alliance to move forward any better than it has.
Indeed. If you would like to provide us with a letter to send back for Magister Heathguard, we would be happy to deliver it. Though, obviously, we have some work to do now before we head back.
There's about a dozen letters that I believe I just promised you. And he looks to the side at the lieutenant that's standing there and says, I hope somebody stretched their hand this morning.
Oscar.
Yes.
Now that the business part of this is done,
The guy just starts being like,
General Jaeger, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
depends on the question.
We made an ally that I know has history here. I want to know how trustworthy she may be. A Lady Greyris.
That is an interesting ally to have. Lady Greyris is a powerful woman. Certainly could have been a greater foe than she ended up being for our nation. But we were fortunate in certain discoveries and how we were able to ascertain her and her family relatively early on. She ran a slave operation in Adir as borderline the head of the operation, if not then one of the heads of the operation. She also was one of the ruling, if not one of the key members, then certainly at the very least the council of 7 counselors that ran Hodgwen prior to our war with Hodgwen. They treated their people poorly, but moreover, when circumstances reduced the water supply that was readily available to a city-state that has 2 rivers running through it, they chose to take that opportunity to ration out the water to families, to push them under their thumb. One of the best ways to receive a ration good enough to actually live a decent life was to have your members of your family be drafted into their military, where they worked like dogs to expand the influence, the lands and power of Hodgwen. She's evil to the core, or she was evil to the core. Again, through circumstance, fairly early on, we were able to obtain her and her husband and use them as tokens to try to collect her son. Short version, her husband was executed, as he should have been. He was tried and found guilty and executed. The execution held out by our allies in Vigil. So this was not a simple decision by the Chosen here. It was a multi-state decision. Her son was, again, eventually captured, despite the various hiccups, and banished.
Teleported, was what she told me.
Nothing you know. He is banished fairly far away. I believe he's in the Barren Lands, but I cannot verify that. He had a certain goodbye before he left, but he's gone. She was also banished, similarly. But where she went, we didn't know. I guess now we know at least where she ended up. I would say that she saw grains of error in her ways, and she was looking to change because she was a key ally in our successes that inevitably had us win the war. But she was also put in a compromised position, and a cunning person like her would certainly be willing to sell other people upriver to make sure that her own head stayed above water. I don't trust the information that she gave us was given out of goodwill, but simply for her own survivability. I don't trust that she wouldn't be an enemy in the future if given the opportunity and the foundation to be able to do so. But more importantly, I don't necessarily trust every aspect of the alliance that she made here in our own city-states. I'm not going to get into the final details of this, but simply put, she worked with some and not with others, and not necessarily all of the details of that alliance could be seen on the up and up.
Thank you.
He says, be wary.
For her credit, at least, she came to us with the idea of trying to make amends for her past.
Sympathy is a powerful tool.
He smiles, and he stands up. He goes, "It was a pleasure."
If I may leave you with, I suppose, one last word of wisdom, as much of a warning as I just gave you, I would be a poor servant of the martyr if I didn't say, I believe in Inclame because all people deserve another chance. Everybody deserves a second chance. You just have to earn it.
In that we agree.
And then he will stand up as well. Gentlemen, I'll make sure that those letters are drafted for you by, let's say 2 hours time. And the guy
I love that he goes, "I will draft those letters," and looks at the
Lieutenant.
Just got voluntold, baby. You just got voluntold.
And so, yep. He will.
And I guess we'll head south and work our way back to pick him up later.
Yeah.
Because we have to go south to go back north, right? So
correct. Awesome. Well, with that, why don't we take a break and come back and say, "Hey, girl, how
Yeah,
you doing
awesome. I kind
there?
of got to poop. Not gonna lie.
Thanks for sharing."
Anytime.
$15 a month, everybody.
Quack, 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 quack,
$15 a
quack.
month.
$15 a month, everybody.
I hope we're not posting pictures of that on there.
We're not.
Okay, good. I know that's a kink, but
Not one that I cater to, sadly.
That's a stink.
No shame, but
I mean, maybe a little shame. Just a little.
as long as everybody is consenting and safe, no shame.
I will agree, as long as everybody's consenting and safe, you do you. But poo? Anyways.
It's not my
You do poo boo.
No.
cup of tea, but
But it's my cup of coffee.
I really want some coffee.
All right, well,
it's
let's
a
go get
bit
some.
nutty. It's a bit nutty.
A bit nutty. Nope, that was wrong.
That was
Hold on.
not even
Hold on.
close.
Let me think for a second. It's
Are you trying to do the Austin
trying to do
Powers?
Austin
hold on,
Powers.
give me a second. Let me think Sean Connery for a second. Like
Sean Cotter.
Connery.
Do accents. Hurry up.
I can't.
Screw up his accent.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can do Sean like it's your bitch nutty, but I can't do it. Can't do it. I'm just going. I'm embarrassing myself.
I'm
Goodbye.
going.
Goodbye.
All right.